delta, and then this will generate our shift for the BC curve. Let's see here, and here you also have a delta here in the job creation conditions. So basically these things will drive the JC curve down. Will drive down the JC curve. So you can imagine why one way that you can see why it must drive down the JC curve is that you start with one point on the JC curve. Let's put it this way. Let's say you look at, first you consider this JC curve, okay, JC curve theta and W. Suppose you look at point A, okay, you look at point A. So here you have a fixed. Let's say you have W1, you have theta 1 here. Suppose you look at this point. Okay. You look at this point, and then you imagine now you this pair of point must satisfy this JC relationship, right? So this theta 1 inverse 1 here must be like that, must satisfy, okay, must satisfy this relationship, right? This is what is meant by this point A on the curve, right? So in terms of equation, must satisfy this, okay? So you consider the same theta 1. Let's say your theta 1 is the same. And now you consider, let's say your delta is higher. And then you keep theta 1 the same. And then what will be W? Okay? What will be W? So you want to consider, because you want to know whether the curve will be like this or like that, which direction it will go to. So you imagined, because you want to determine when delta is higher, whether this JC will shift down or shift up. So you consider one point A, which is on the original curve, and then you look at, suppose your delta goes up, suppose your theta doesn't change, then what must happen to your W? If your W is lower, then it means the curve goes down. If your W is high, then the curve must go up. Okay? So you look at these equations, okay? So here you say, okay, this thing go up, right? Delta go up. And this thing doesn't change, no change, right? So the left-hand side, no change. And how do you make this right-hand side no change? But your denominator go up, right? So you want this numerator to go up at the same time. And how do you make the numerator go up? W has to go down. W go down. So by doing so, you see this is not the possibility. Must be the lower one, right? So shift down, basically shift down. Okay, so this is the, so you will end up with this curve shift down. So when you draw the picture, what's going to happen? So this W is the same, right? So JC will, JC1, JC2, so this thing go down. And then also you have this BC curve will shift out. BC curve shift out. Okay, so you end up with, you know, the wage will go down. Tightness will go down, okay? Tightness will go down. Tightness go down, but then, okay, so here, this is a U1, V1, tightness go down, right? and then here you have U2. Now V, so here definitely unemployment has to go up, but this can go up or go down, depends on how you draw the curve. Because you can shift down quite a lot, right? You can shift down quite a lot, or maybe just shift up a little bit, because this thing overshift. So this V is not clear. The V is not clear. Okay. So this you end up with this ambiguous result. If you use the approach in the Williamson, let's see, would it be easier? May or may not be. So if you look at the approach in Williamson, you end up with something like this. Let's see here. You use this approach, and you look at the competitive statics, so delta goes up. So first you look at this curve. Does it have to do with delta? No delta there, right? So this curve must be constant. You look at this curve. Delta appears in the denominator. So if your delta goes up, the whole thing will go down, shift down, right? So this thing shift down. So you end up with lower surplus and then lower tightness. But this approach, you only know the tightness will go down, W, and U is you don't have picture, right? In particular, W. So you can one possibility is you combine the two approaches. Okay, you can use this picture. So here you know the tightness will go down, and then the tightness will go down. So the let's see, tightness go down. So from you go back, because you know the tightness has to go down. Equilibrium tightness has to go down. So you use the wage equation here. Immediately you can draw the conclusion that your wage will have to go down to your theta go down, W go down, right? And then here use the same picture. You just like what I draw on this side, right? So you know tightness go down, right? So this will swing like that. So you can if you want to, you can kind of combine the two approaches, or maybe just use one, whatever, right? So this is the graphical solution. Graphical solution. Okay, and this is but I think one thing I don't like the Williamson approach is that this equation has not much interpretation. Okay, these things, you don't have a good story to tell, right? So it's purely mathematical. You're purely mathematical. You say the total surplus will depends on this parameter in that particular way, but there's no easy way to kind of understand. No intuition, basically, just pure mathematical. Whereas the way that I personally prefer is that you have very good interpretation. You see here the wage equation, the equilibrium wage will distribute that way, right? So will a share of the unemployment benefit, and then a share of the output plus this K times theta. And then this thing has to do with the present value of the profit, right? So Y minus W is the profit, discount by adjust for the risk. And then the left-hand side here is the expected vacancy cost, right? So it's kind of nice interpretation in economics. And also the graphical analysis is not difficult to do, okay? So this is a more popular way to present the DMP model. Okay. And you can and the economics, right? So and of course this is a kind of technical, but then intuition, right? So if you have higher unemployment benefit, what's going to happen, right? So higher unemployment benefit in model. So higher unemployment benefit means that the value of U must be higher, the capital U, right? So unemployment value, right? So the value of being unemployed is higher. Now this is Nash bargaining, right? So the U is the outside option of the worker, okay? Or the flat point of the worker is higher. You have more bargaining chips. Basically, even though I don't take the offer, I have very good unemployment benefit. Right? So the value of the U is high. So should be able to bargain for a higher wage. So that's why the wage should be higher. It's quite clear. Okay. And then, but if the wage is higher, then it will discourage the firm from creating vacancy. Okay? Because the profit will be lower, right? Profit will be lower. So there's so you end up with, and then the fewer jobs available, right? So then you have lower job funding rate, and therefore unemployment, more unemployment, right? Fewer people find jobs. Okay. Higher unemployment rate. The vacancy is lower, I guess it's also intuitive, right? Because the firm is discouraged from creating vacancy. Right? So this seems to be reasonable, right? So the model, this is the mechanism behind the model. So if you compare the same analysis with the one-side model. So in the macro model is one side, right? Everything on the supply side. So the worker will be more choosy, right? Set a higher criteria, set a higher wage, and therefore there will be fewer acceptable wage, okay? And they will stay in unemployment, stay longer. And that's why the unemployment rate should be higher in the macro model. So it will be interesting to compare the two kinds of model, right? So in the DMP model, there the supply side and the demand side response, right? So you also look at so this policy change will not only affect the incentive of the worker, but also the incentive of the firm, right? So the firm create jobs, right? So you have. So here you have higher unemployment benefit. This part, the higher wage, they bargain for higher wage is similar to the macro model, right? So in the macro model, your higher unemployment benefit, workers set a higher reservation wage. They want to have they will wait for a higher wage before they choose to work, right? And here you bargain for a higher wage. And then the result is that because the higher wage, fewer jobs will be available. And it will make the chance of get a match, finding a job harder. The result is very similar, but the mechanism not exactly the same, but very similar result. And similarly, you can find other. So here we work out a few of the comparative statistics for you. Higher interest rate, right? So higher interest rate, the higher R. So basically, the make the value of a jobs lower, right? So again, it will discourage vacancy creations. you can so you can work out. So it's basically this is it sort of opened up more opportunities, a richer model than the macro1.13m4a model. Okay, so you have more opportunities. Maybe put it this way. Should be able to explain the data a little bit better. And in last semester, we in the final exam, right? So we can explain quite. I asked you to explain the data, right? So this thing also appear in the Nobel data. I think so the DMP model will have no problem explaining this movement in the real world data. You got this, let's see here, market with friction. Okay. Market with friction. Right? So here you can also look at the, yeah, there's a picture, right? So very similar to what we see in the textbook. Yeah, this picture, right? Okay, so this bearish curve picture. So you have, so this one starting from year 2000, 2001, okay, 2002, 4, 5, and so on. So basically you have this movement, and then great recessions, right? 2009, so you sort of move along the same bearish curve, right? So your unemployment rate keep going up to very high, right? Up to 10%, the great recessions. And then this one, and then you see it looks like it kind of shift out to the northeast direction, like a shift up or shift to the right. And then here, this plot stopped at 2010, but in the final exam, you can see it's sort of going back up here, right? In the final exam, so you see these points tend to travel along this loop, right? But not on the same curve, not on the same curve, right? So if you want to explain this sort of data, you need to use the shift of the bearish curve, along with movement along the bearish curve, right? Okay, and then from the DMP model, you see the only way in the one period model, the only way that you can shift the BC curve is the matching efficiency. In the more general model, you have the two things. You have the separation probability, right? The separation rate, and also the matching efficiency, right? Both of which capture something about sectoral shock, right? So to somehow maybe skills mismatch, structural change in the economy sort of make it harder for workers and firms to match, right? To form a match. So this thing can explain. But then the movement, now what about the movement along the same bearish curve? And all other things, all other parameter change, like unemployment benefit, like a recruiting cost, right? Vacancy posting costs, productivity shock, all other parameter change, they will kind of move along, make the movement, or you and me, move along the same bearish curve. But then, theoretically, this is the case, but if you want to apply the model to real-world data, which one is the most plausible? And then some of you try to be mechanical and say the unemployment benefit, but you see this quarterly data or annual data, you don't see unemployment benefit change every year. And also, it's hard to imagine unemployment benefit can go up and go down many times. It might tend to go up, but gradually going up. You you cannot imagine unemployment benefit can go up in 1 year, go down in another year, go down, go up, and so on. So this is just not empirically plausible, right? Because the unemployment benefit has to do with this government policy and so on, right? So it's very hard to change. And historically, it has only changed quite infrequently, right? And again, recruiting costs is also hard to explain, right? So it's not plausible. See, the most plausible explanation must be productivity shock, right? So basically, you can explain recessions, right? So movement along the same let's say in this data, southeast movement, so lower and lower productivity, so we generate the recessions, and then the recovery, the northwest movement is improvement in productivity, right? So productivity can change a lot. Okay, so this, so in a way, this is real business cycle model, right? So we look at the role business cycles generated by productivity shock, real business cycle explanation. But the shift, right? But the shift you cannot explain by productivity, because productivity can only generate movement along the same beverage curve. So you have to somehow sector shift. But of course, why was there sector shift during this Great Recession period, but not in other recessions? We don't know. Okay. But this is, if you have to use the DMP model to explain the data, this is the only possibility. Right? So this also mentioned that. Yeah, during the current crisis, right? So when this document was written, so it's about the Great Recession time. So a market outward shift has been observed, and don't know, but the model can allow for this possibility. So this is the BMP model. Now I want to just want to wrap up something. Last semester we have 2 lecture notes on dynamic programming, and then it had certain numerical examples. So I just want to mention it because we will try to make use of computer. So it's a good idea to use this as example. So I want to download first. So we got this. So this, in these 2 zip files, there are examples. This computer program and so on. So I want to download. Okay. Yeah. Compress. Yeah. Download. Save. And then I download one more time. Yeah. Download these 2 things, and then so in the C file we have this MATLAB program. The M file is the MATLAB program. The thing is output. So let me look at one example. So this. We kind of talked about this last semester, but may not in very detail. But I want to look at the. Now so far we use this. We write down a Bellman equations, and here we want to show you how to solve it. Okay, how to solve it numerically. So one example is that. Okay, I want to show you this example. Okay, so I want to show you this So this is a very simple example. Here you have so we try to look at this cake eating problem. This cake eating problem is that you start up. So at time 0, you start out with a cake, okay, and then your choice, so your options is to eat or wait, okay. So there's just two choices, just like the macro one-sided search model. You take the job or not take the job, okay. So it's a discrete choice, and then so here you have. So here so as I described here, so at time 0, you are presented with a cake of size 1, okay, then you have two choices. So if you eat it, then game over, and then you can also wait, okay. So if you don't eat it, next period, there will be a new cake of size 2. Okay. And then if you still don't eat it, next time the cake will still of the same size. Okay. So then what is your optimal stopping rule? Okay. So your optimal stopping rule is that if you eat, then you stop, right? If you don't eat, then you wait. Now, obviously for this problem, because the cake, once the cake becomes size 2, it will never become even bigger. Okay, so your optimal choice must be that you only want to wait for one period. Okay, and then when the cake size is 2, you will definitely eat it. However, at time 0, it will depend, right? Okay, you may or may not want to wait for a bigger cake. It really depends on how you discount future. How long can you wait? So intuitively, this is if you are extremely hungry, you don't, even though you know next period there will be a bigger cake, but because you are starving, you may not be able to wait until next period. Therefore, you will eat it, right? And on the other hand, if you are just somewhat hungry, you may be better off by waiting for a bigger cake, right? Okay, so basically this is a very simple optimal stopping problem, and you can pretty much imagine how the optimal solution should look like. Okay, so if you are extremely hungry, then in this kind of setting, then it means that your discount factor is very high. Means your beta is very small. Okay, so if you have a very, very small beta, you don't want to wait. Okay, once you are presented with a cake size of 1, you will definitely eat it and game over, right? Okay. On the other hand, if your beta is not too small, then you may want to wait. And obviously, your decision during period 0 of wait or not depends on how big is your beta, right? So this has to do with the cake size of 2 compared with the size of beta. Okay, so the solution should look like that. Okay, and here we show you if you solve this problem by dynamic programming, you will get a qualitatively you will get these kind of results, right? But then it will sort of show these things exactly. Okay. So here your control. So you have this is a discrete choice. So you have just these two options. So you can eat or wait, right? Okay. And then remember in dynamic programming you need to look at the state variable, right? So the state variable. So here you only have 3 possible values of the state variable. So 0, 1, and 2.